KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. The USDA reports farmers made planting progress in some areas last week despite continued weather issues. Radio Hour's Dar Danielson reports.
The report says 70% of the expected corn crop is now in the ground, which is still 5 days behind last year and 9 days behind the 5-year average. It's the smallest percentage of corn planted by May 19th since 1995, when just 53% of the crop was done. Farmers in the northern districts and east central Iowa managed to dodge the rain to plant 1/4 of their expected corn this past week. That includes 43% of the crop planted in northeast Iowa. The planting of soybeans is 8 days behind last year and 9 behind the 5-year average, with 27% of them in the ground. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
A northern Iowa community is being designated as an age-friendly town, only the second one in the state. Radio Iowa's Kellen Havikin reports.
AARP has designated Charles City as the next livable community in Iowa. The city's been piloting the program since October and submitted an application last month. A livable community must be a safe and secure place to live, have affordable housing, and transportation for senior citizens. A ceremony's been planned for June to recognize the city. Charles City is home to more than 600 senior citizens. I'm Kellen Havikin reporting.
A government office building in Mason City is closed after part of its roof collapsed in a weekend storm. Radio Iowa's Bob Fisher reports.
A statement from J.D. Dieterman Investments says structural damage on the roof of the Mohawk Square building was discovered on Sunday. The statement says they're working with their insurance company to assess the damage, but until a full assessment of the damage is completed, Mohawk Square will be closed until further notice. Several public agencies are housed inside Mohawk Square, including the Cerro Gordo County Department of Public Health, the Iowa Department of Human Services, the Mason City Housing Authority, Elder Bridge Agency on Aging, and the Iowa Department of Correctional Services. Bob Fisher, Radio Iowa, Mason City.
The Messenger reports that Marco's Pizza, 1511 2nd Avenue North in Fort Dodge, is all of a sudden closed. I talked to Fort Dodge residents about what they thought about the closing. Joe O'Leary of Fort Dodge isn't surprised.
I don't know. It's weird. It's not really shocking to me.
Aaron Miller of Fort Dodge says the competition between pizza franchises in town and changes in management had an effect on the closing of Marco's.
Pizza, because it's such a dime a dozen, and when you do a franchise, that's pretty hard in Fort Dodge when you already have Pizza Hut, Domino's, and Little Caesars, and Papa Murphy's for franchises. And so I don't think it really was the best idea for that. Secondly, I think even more so than that was the fact that after about their second year, they went through a lot of changes in managerial and employees and when you have that much change, you're not setting your company up for success. I think that ultimately led to their demise.
Marco's Pizza was in Fort Dodge for 7 years before closing this week. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD Weatherology forecast. A wind advisory continues until 10 p.m. tonight. Overcast skies this afternoon with a chance for scattered rain showers. Highs around 51, easterly winds 30 to 40 miles per hour. Cloudy skies tonight, isolated thunderstorms likely 49. 69 tomorrow, chance for scattered showers. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 47.
Everyone knows that even good people fall on hard times. Your credit cards get maxed out and you get behind on your taxes. Unfortunately, the IRS is not as understanding, and they won't stop until they collect. They have the power to take your paycheck, freeze your bank accounts. Even your home or business could be at risk. It's simply not worth it to take on the IRS by yourself. You need to call the experts at Optima Tax Relief. When you call, be sure to ask about the Fresh Start Initiative. It's a special IRS tax debt assistance program that could save you thousands, even tens of thousands. Optima will immediately provide you with a team of professionals who could protect you from the IRS, ensuring that you get the best possible outcome. The Better Business Bureau has awarded them an A+ rating, and you will too. So put the hard times behind you and call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Our trading relationship with Mexico and Canada is critical to the success of American agriculture. Our North American neighbors buy more than $3.2 billion of U.S. corn products annually, supporting thousands of American jobs and farms. Now we can solidify this valuable partnership through the new U.S.-Mexico-Canada Trade Agreement, or USMCA. Learn more about the importance of USMCA for corn growers at ncga.com/trade.
Michael Devine, the doctor of truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Well, if you can't handle the truth, you've come to the wrong radio station. Once again, I'm Michael Devine, and we are going to tell the truth, make it matter. And we're never going to be boring. With me now is Mary Kay Daniel of Daniel Pharmacy, and Mary Kay's. What's the name of your part of the store?
It's Mary Kay's Gifts and Home Decor. And
Mary Kay's Gifts and Home Decor.
Yes.
I bought a lot of stuff there.
Yes.
As a matter of fact.
And I recently opened a Merle Norman Cosmetic Studio too. So.
Well, I probably won't use that much, Mary Kay. No, this is as good as I'm ever going to look. Right here and right now. How long has Daniel Pharmacy been in business? Do you know?
Gosh.
I know.
Over
1961.
Yes.
Yes. Did you know that?
Yes. Well, I know it's been.
Where you speaking in the microphone?
Over 54 years.
Oh, that's quite a long
yeah.
time. Yeah, quite a long time. At the same location, too.
Yes.
All
We've
right.
done quite a few expansions over the years. And
have you?
yes.
Okay.
This is about our third expansion, I think.
And you're expanding for Merle Norman?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
is it?
Yeah.
You're not buying any buildings to the west of you or anything.
No.
You're just putting in.
Yeah.
You're
Like
putting
my
in
shop,
something extra.
Yeah, my shop, I've just expanded what I carry.
Okay.
But the pharmacy has expanded quite a few times.
Oh, you're wearing a Merle Norman T-shirt.
I am.
All right. Good enough.
Dressed for radio. I guess.
Well, actually, if you want to see the fabulous Mary Kay here, you can go to YouTube, type in 1400 KVFD, and we're there live. As a matter of fact, that's a recording. So if you miss her now, you can always call it up later. Mary Kay Daniel with Daniel Pharmacy is here. You also, your family are very involved in St. Mark's Episcopal Church here in town.
We are.
Good for you.
Thank you.
And you're serving. Not long ago, you had a pancake supper, I believe,
Right.
that I went to.
On Shrove Tuesday.
And yeah, Shrove Tuesday. And then, or very soon on what, June the 1st?
June 1st.
1st, you're having my favorite food. Hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
All
Yeah.
right. Tell us a little bit about this hot dog thing you got going on.
Okay, well, shortly after the Frontier Days Parade on Saturday, June 1st.
Very smart. After
Yes.
the Frontier Days Parade.
We are going to have our hot dog fundraiser, and it's going to be in the parking lot of St. Mark's Episcopal Church.
Even smarter. Are you going to be on the 2nd Avenue South side or 1st Avenue South? Which street is it?
It's
That's
First
Avenue South, right?
Mhm.
That's First
Yep.
Avenue South.
And we're going to be serving hot dogs, chips, a dessert, and a beverage, and it's going to be $5.
$5,
And
really?
you can eat there. We'll have some tables set up, or you can get them to go.
So can you get a beer, or is it just going to be pop-ins? Well, it's a church.
Um,
You probably can't get a beer.
Yeah, just water and pop.
Water and pop. Well,
And
that's
lemonade.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Water, pop, or lemonade. I'll tell you, that
Mhm.
sounds good to me.
Yep. And we're going to be serving from 11 o'clock until 1 p.m.
11 o'clock. So a small window, really. So we want to get down there. The Frontier
Right.
Days Parade will probably be over. Yeah, about that time.
Yeah,
I
I
suppose.
think the parade starts at 10. So,
10.
and I'm sure we'll have some people up setting up if anyone comes early. too,
Okay.
so.
So this is a fundraiser for
Well, this is a fundraiser for St. Mark's,
St. Mark's.
and all the proceeds will go to do outreach in the community.
by outreach. What are we talking about?
We've done different outreach projects. We've supported Ickes Youth Center, Lotus.
Oh, those sorts of things.
Yeah, in the past we've done a pancake breakfast
Yes, you
before
have.
the Frontier Days Parade, and that was the proceeds went for an outreach there too.
Yeah.
So this is our first time doing a hot dog fundraiser, and I've got a bunch of excited people in the congregation that are ready to serve up some hot dogs.
You know, it's a sad statement on my age and place and time that I'm very excited about a hot dog sale at
yeah.
St. Mark's Church. But I am.
You
I just-
haven't tried these hot dogs.
Oh yeah. Are they a special kind of hot dog, or
Well,
they're on the grill, right?
Yep.
I
they're gonna
love
be
grilled hot dogs. Who doesn't love grilled hot dogs
Mm.
in summer?
Right.
You'd have to be a sick human being.
Wow.
I think you would have to be.
So yeah, I hope everyone can come out and support St. Mark's and what they're doing. And enjoy a little growth.
Little fun, and
Right.
that's usually a pretty good day anyway. You know, the
It is.
parade brings a lot of people downtown.
There's a lot of things going on that weekend.
Right. Right. Well, St. Mark's is a beautiful church.
Mhm.
I've been over there several times over the years. Probably the last time was the Shrove Tuesday pancake
Right.
dinner. But yeah, you can have those pancake dinners or breakfast anytime,
Mhm.
and I'll show up. You have a
Yeah.
pretty good crew over there, and
Yes, we do.
yeah, a lot of help. And this is another thing I've had to admit over the many, many years, that a lot more good has come out of the churches than come out of the taverns that I used to hang out on in Central Avenue years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot more good has come out of the churches than has come out of the
Mhm.
taverns, as it turns out. And so I'm glad that your church is staying active and
Right.
doing these sorts of things.
hmm
It's a great idea, really. I mean,
Right.
to have it on right after the Frontier Days parade.
Yeah, you know, we've done all sorts of fundraisers, and this is something new. This will be our first year doing this, so we're excited and hoping that we can continue this tradition.
Sure.
Every Frontier Days.
I hope you can.
Yeah.
Your business, Daniel Pharmacy, or your dad's business, I guess,
Mhm.
but it's your family business.
Right.
I mean, that's truly a family business. I see your mom in there. Your brother works in there.
Yeah.
In fact, your one brother down in Des Moines is the only one that doesn't work there, right?
He used to.
He used to
when
work
he
there.
when he was here. He worked there also.
Sure. But
Mhm.
again, it's great to see a family business like that where
Yeah.
everybody's involved.
Mhm.
Your mom doesn't work full time, though.
And no, she covers for me when I'm here on the radio or or in one of my things that I'm involved in. She covers for me.
Sure.
So
What do you have? 3 full-time pharmacists over there? 4? You know? You have your brother, your dad, of course, and then there's one
right,
other.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 or 4.
Yeah,
Mhm.
isn't there a woman pharmacist that works in there
Mhm.
sometime or not?
Yep. There's a couple. Some are techs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know who's who behind the counter, really.
Right.
I know your brother and your dad, and that's about
You
it.
only see them from the forehead.
Well,
up,
that's
so-
right. That's absolutely correct. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, Mary Kay Daniels here, not really with the Daniel Pharmacy today, but she is here on behalf of St. Mark's Episcopal Church. Again, a church that her family has proudly supported and been members of for many, many years. Did you go there when you were a little girl?
Yeah, that's the only church I know.
All right. Well, again,
Yeah.
beautiful church, nice
Thank
people,
you.
and they're having a hot dog. What would we call it? Hot dog fundraiser. All right.
Mhm.
And so you get a hot dog and
Hot dogs, some potato
Chips.
chips, dessert, and
Dessert.
a drink.
What kind of dessert? You got ice cream?
Maybe. They're all going to be handmade, homemade
Oh,
desserts.
The ladies are going to make pies and brownies and that sort of stuff, aren't they?
Mhm.
Oh God! See, that's why everybody should always, everybody should. I always used to do this. If some church had a soup or pie dinner or whatever it is, I always went because the little old ladies in the church would make those pies, and they were the best pies on earth.
Oh yeah.
And I forgot about that. The last
Mhm.
time I was over there for Shrove Tuesday pancake, they had, I think they had brownies and cookies and stuff that the ladies made,
Mhm.
or maybe the men made too.
We've
I
got
don't
some
know.
pretty good cooks at our church.
You
so-
do. I'll tell you, you certainly do. And well, again, June 1st, starting
June
at 11
1st,
o'clock
11 o'clock till 1 o'clock
in the
in the
parking lot.
parking lot of St. Mark's Church. It's 1 block off of the parade route at 1007 First Avenue South.
Absolutely. Okay. Is there anything else we need to know, Mary Kay?
Well, I hope everyone comes and joins us and supports what we're doing in the community and helps support St. Mark's.
I hope that too. I'll be there. I promise you I will be there
Well, thank you.
unless I'm dead, but I don't plan on being there.
No.
No, I will be there because I love hot dogs, and I always like St. Mark's for all the reasons you just said, that they're very active and try to do good things in our community, and a lot of good things come out of our churches, and St.
Yes.
Mark's is a perfect example.
I'm
Thank you,
very
Mary
proud
Kay.
of him.
Yeah, you should be. You should
Yeah.
be very proud of them.
Yeah.
Mary Kay Daniels has been our guest. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Ensuring your crop has access to nitrogen when it needs it. Hello, I'm Megan Grebner, and this is Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with Verdesian Life Sciences. The shortened growing season means making sure the crop has access to nitrogen when it needs it most is crucial. In this Managing for Profit, Nick Favret with Verdesian explains how the wider treatment window with New Charge G helps growers maximize their return on investment. We'll find out more on Brownfield right after this.
There are a ton of social networking websites, but one stands apart for a very special reason. This one saves lives. It's MatchingDonors.com. MatchingDonors.com links organ donors with people in need of kidney and other transplants. In the U.S., 22 people die each day waiting for an organ transplant, most of them for kidneys. If you've ever considered becoming a living organ donor, or if you're someone in need of an organ transplant, visit MatchingDonors.com, home of the greatest gift of all, the gift of life. MatchingDonors.com.
On the internet, there are tons of special networking websites, but one stands apart. This one saves lives. It's MatchingDonors.com. MatchingDonors.com links organ donors with people in need of kidney and other transplants. Did you know in the U.S., 19 people die each day waiting for an organ transplant? If you've ever considered becoming a living organ donor, or if you're someone in need of an organ transplant, please visit MatchingDonors.com.
Nitrogen enhancers help the crop access nitrogen, not only in the beginning of the growing season when it's applied, but throughout the growing season. Nick Favret is with Verdesian Life Sciences.
So as we look at nitrogen enhancers, it's a tool set that helps enable that nitrogen to be there when that plant needs it, especially in that second and third phase of growth as it gets through late vegetative into reproductive stages.
Favret says some of the challenges growers have faced this spring is accessing urea.
One option that NewCharge G provides the retailer and ultimately the grower is a tool set that can be pre-treated. So that could be treated in the winter time frame or the early spring time frame to be prepared to go out and have your urea protected. That's one key advantage as you look through other technologies that could dissipate or volatilize in the few months after that treatment window. NewCharge G will be there on the urea and will be there throughout the growing season.
He tells Brownfield crops need nitrogen both early on and later in the growing season, so the wider treatment window with NewCharge G is extremely beneficial.
Today we're seeing products that are great products like MBPT-derived products. They tend to help with volatilization. So when that urea is laid down on the ground, helping prevent it from going up and volatilizing into the air. But when it gets into the soil and gets watered into the soil, you need protection as well. And that's where NewCharge G is going to help you, both on volatilization, but also on nitrification in the soil. And so that's most important, is that nitrogen gets in your soil, the roots access it, and that nitrogen, that delicious food the plant needs, is there and available throughout that growing window.
Favret says growers can also see an incredible return on investment.
The ROI is very simple, 4x. And the way they're getting there in these current commodity prices is as more nitrogen is available to the plant throughout the growing cycle, the plant, especially when moisture is around, takes in that nitrogen and builds stronger plants and ultimately bigger corn yields. And so as that plays throughout the growing season, that investment with more nitrogen available to the plant when it needs it helps the plant reach its genetic potential. And over hundreds of field tests that we have, over 500 field tests, demonstrate 4x return on that technology.
I'm Megan Grebner with Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with Verdesian Life Sciences.
The Frontier Day celebration is May 31st through June 2nd, and this year it's bigger and better than ever before. See country star Jason Brown performing live in the Opera House Friday night, May 31st. Admission is just $10 with your Frontier Days wristband. Saturday, catch the Frontier Days parade. Then head back out to the fort for the Shoot 'em Up Gang, the Avery Brules Band, Belgian Horses, a chainsaw artist, and the Beaver Creek Band. Saturday night from 8 till 11. Sunday, it's the Bill Riley Talent Show. Don't miss Frontier Days, May 31st through June 2nd at the Fort Museum.
Hi, I'm Amber. I'm a mom of 2, and I live with HIV. When I first received my diagnosis, I was really worried about how I was going to provide for my kids because I knew taking control of my diagnosis was going to be expensive. So I started looking for any resources that could help us out, and I found out I was eligible for Ryan White services through the Iowa Department of Public Health. I qualified for medication and medical care, financial help, transportation, housing, and even counseling. I'm amazed by how much support is available, and I wish I had talked to someone sooner, especially now that I know I'm not alone. Over 3,000 Iowans are living with HIV. How we take care of ourselves and how we manage our care are two of the most important ways we can live our best lives. I'm living with HIV, not dying from it. Why wait? Reach out for testing and care services at stophiviowa.org.
Get up first thing, smoke a cigarette before lunch, after lunch. Now that I'm talking about it, I kind of feeling like I've lost about 4 hours of every day. I decided I needed to find an alternative. So I started looking, and then Jewel came up. I did both for a while. Eventually I just switched over, and it's very quick.
Mimi made the switch July 2015. Make the switch at JUUL.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Oh, why not just cremate me when I'm gone?
Sounds simple, doesn't it? However, there are many options to consider when cremation is chosen. From simple to detailed, we at Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services can help you create a unique commemoration.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. The USDA reports farmers made planting progress in some areas last week despite continued weather issues. Radio Iowa's Dar Danielson reports.
The report says 70% of the expected corn crop is now in the ground, which is still 5 days behind last year and 9 days behind the 5-year average. It's the smallest percentage of corn planted by May 19th since 1995, when just 53% of the crop was done. Farmers in the northern districts and east central Iowa managed to dodge the rain to plant 1/4 of their expected corn this past week. That includes 43% of the crop planted in northeast Iowa. The planting of soybeans is 8 days behind last year and 9 behind the 5-year average, with 27% of them in the ground. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
A northern Iowa community is being designated as an age-friendly town, only the second one in the state. Radio Iowa's Kellen Havikin reports.
AARP has designated Charles City as the next livable community in Iowa. The city's been piloting the program since October and submitted an application last month. A livable community must be a safe and secure place to live, have affordable housing, and transportation for senior citizens. A ceremony's been planned for June to recognize the city. Charles City is home to more than 600 senior citizens. I'm Kellen Havikin reporting.
A government office building in Mason City is closed after part of its roof collapsed in a weekend storm. Radio Iowa's Bob Fisher reports.
A statement from J.D. Dieterman Investments says structural damage on the roof of the Mohawk Square building was discovered on Sunday. The statement says they're working with their insurance company to assess the damage, but until a full assessment of the damage is completed, Mohawk Square will be closed until further notice. Several public agencies are housed inside Mohawk Square, including the Cerro Gordo County Department of Public Health, the Iowa Department of Human Services, the Mesa City Housing Authority, Elderbridge Agency on Aging, and the Iowa Department of Correctional Services. Bob Fisher, Radio Iowa, Mason City.
The Messenger reports that Marco's Pizza, 1511 2nd Avenue North in Fort Dodge, is all of a sudden closed. I talked to Fort Dodge residents about what they thought about the closing. Joe O'Leary of Fort Dodge isn't surprised.
I don't know. It's weird. It's not really shocking to me.
Aaron Miller of Fort Dodge says the competition between pizza franchises in town and changes in management had an effect on the closing of Marco's.
Pizza, because it's such a dime a dozen, and when you do a franchise, that's pretty hard in Fort Dodge when you already have Pizza Hut, Domino's, and Little Caesars, and Papa Murphy's for franchises. And so I don't think it really was the best idea for that. Secondly, I think even more so than that was the fact that after about their second year, they went through a lot of changes in managerial and employees and when you have that much change, you're not setting your company up for success. I think that ultimately led to their demise.
Marco's Pizza was in Fort Dodge for 7 years before closing this week. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
AM 1400, KVFD, the voice, Fort Dodge 229. First of all, in the weather, 47 degrees and miserable. Wherever this weather came from or whoever brought it, they can take it back and never bring it back. Rain, thunderstorm this afternoon, high 51. There's actually a wind advisory in effect until tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the evening. It's just blowing nasty. I don't know what's going on. Overnight thunderstorms, temperature falling to 48 degrees. Tomorrow, much better. Sunny with a high of 70. It's going to continue to be windy. On Thursday, a slight chance of rain. Otherwise, sunny with a high of 75. On Friday, a slight chance of rain. Sunny with a high of 80 maybe. On Saturday, it'll be sunny with a high of 75. Sunday, mostly cloudy with a high of 74. On Memorial Day, it'll be cloudy with a high of 72. So, I'm always tempted to look at a weather forecast like this and just say, well, the weather sucks and move on. But I guess you already know that. 47 degrees at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Sorry to report the death of Don Shimon in Havelock. Don W. Shimon, actually living in Farr, Texas, died on Thursday. I met Donnie Shimon a few times. Nice man, Don Shimon, 83 years old, has passed away. There will be a memorial service for Don Shimon, and that'll be at 10 o'clock in the morning this Saturday at the Resurrection of Our Lord Catholic Church in Pocahontas. Fern Horton has died at the age of 95. Her service is going on right now here in town, and Judy Gherkin has died. Her service was this morning at 10:30 at St. Paul Lutheran Church. Judy Gherkin, 77, of Fort Dodge, has died. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. 232, 47 degrees, just a miserable day. Sorry to bring you down, but I've never been able to do sunshine radio. Steve Peterson with the Farm Bureau is in the building, in the studio, and we'll talk with Steve in a few minutes.
Mackey Motors Pre-Memorial Day sales event is going on now. We have the largest selection of 2019 Chevy Silverado heavy-duty K2500 and 3500 trucks with up to $14,400 off MSRP. Mackey Motors also has a large selection of 2019 Chevy Silverado K1500 half-ton trucks with up to $12,700 off. Or we have 2019 Chevy Equinoxes with up to $7,300 off. Hurry in and find new roads at Mackey Motors or MackeyMotors.com.
This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, 232, 47 degrees with some rain and wind. With a look at the closing market report, here's Dwayne Murley.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. July corn up 5 1/4 to close at $3.94 1/4. September up 6 at $4.02 3/4. December up 6 at $4.10 1/2. March up 5 3/4 at $4.20. July soybeans down 9 3/4 at $8.22. August down 9 3/4 at $8.28 3/4. September beans down 9 1/2 at $8.35 1/2. November down 9 1/4 at $8.48 1/2. July wheat closed up a 1/2 penny at $4.78 3/4. Soybean meal down $2 a ton at $2.95.30. June live cattle down 50 cents at $110.85. August down 25 at $108.27. May feeder cattle up 22 at $134.37. August down to $177 at $143. June lean hogs down to $165 at $90.10. July down $162 at $91.37. I'm Dwayne Murley.
If you're ready to start a rewarding new career, listen to this. Good Samaritan Society Manson is hiring for 2 part-time dietary positions, an evening cook and a daytime dining room aide. Good Samaritan Society Manson is a Bronze Award 5-star Christian care facility caring for the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. Qualified applicants may apply online at good-sam.com. That's good-sam.com. Good Samaritan Society is an equal opportunity employer. Women, minorities, and veterans are encouraged to apply.
We stand for people, progress and pride.
We're the Iowa Farm Bureau, and we support farm families. We're a voice on local, state, and national issues. We're also committed to making rural Iowa a better place to live and keeping Iowa farm families on the farm.
People, progress and pride, it's true. Iowa Farm Bureau, helping you.
Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm a teacher, a coach, a dad, a husband, and I live with HIV. There was a time in my life when I was scared people would find out about my diagnosis and be scared of me. Then I found out I'm not alone. There are over 3,000 Iowans living with HIV. How we take care of ourselves and how we manage our care are two of the most important ways we can live our best lives. My diagnosis doesn't define or scare me. I'm a person just like everyone else. And that clarity helps me teach my kids that we're all just people. I have more support than I could ever have imagined thanks to Ryan White funding through the Iowa Department of Public Health. I qualified for medication and medical care, financial help, transportation, housing, and counseling. And now I'm living with HIV, not dying from it. Why wait? Reach out for testing and care services at stophiviowa.org.
Did you know when you donate items to the Key on Central, you're helping support DSOC, the local shelter for 20 North Central Iowa counties? At DSOC, we support victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, survivors of homicide, and other violent crimes. And when you bring your tax-deductible donations to the Key, you support them too. The Key is always accepting clothing, shoes, furniture, kitchen items, household goods, and more. On behalf of DSOC, thank you for your donations to the Key on Central, on the corner of Central Avenue and 11th, Fort Dodge.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Lord knows I can't. I can't deal with it. I cannot deal with the truth. I can't cope. I'm going home and cover up with a blanket, my head and everything. This portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Farm Bureau. With us is the past president of the Webster County Farm Bureau, Steve Peterson. How are you, Steve?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
All right. Why are we still wearing our hoodies and thick sweatshirts and all that kind of stuff like you got on today?
Because Mother Nature, I think, is off her meds.
I guess she's way off her meds.
Yeah,
way off.
We keep thinking we're done with this cold stuff, and it seems to keep appearing. So I don't know how many.
That's the truth.
People I've heard we're going to shut their furnaces off, and
I've done it several times. I got all my winter clothes out of my drawers, and I put them in storage, and I got my shorts out. I've worn my shorts maybe twice.
Yeah,
and I expect to wear them again, I guess, toward the end of the week.
So no, it's cold, and for those that are fortunate enough to have our crops in, they're not liking it either. They're just kind of sitting there. And
what is this weather doing to the crops? The seeds in the ground. What's happening?
Of course, when the seed's in the ground, it all has to do with our ground temp, and we basically have to have around a 50-degree ground temp, which we have been maintaining that. The sun is.
Have we?
The sun's pretty powerful, and we've been getting above that. And as long as it's 50 degrees, there seems to be some stuff happening. What the seeds don't like is, of course, when we get so waterlogged, and then they lose their oxygen, and that can create a whole bunch of different problems as far as emergence and things like that. But a lot of times, again, I try to make this, if someone goes out in the country, they're going to see, there's quite a bit of corn that we would call, you can row it. You can definitely see the lines out in the field, but it just is, we're getting so little heat units. The stuff doesn't seem like it's progressing at all. It's just kind of at a standstill, and it's going to be there till we get some sunshine and some happier days. And hopefully, we're going to get some sneak peeks of that. But unfortunately, in the pattern right now we're in, it looks like if we do get some sun and heat, well, it's going to brew up a thunderstorm. So that's kind of
how does that work?
Just the natural tendency of the cycle we're in right now. We definitely don't need any. I have a report, our subsoil moisture and all that. Well, it's full. I don't need to read a piece of paper. It's full. In this area, we're lucky. We have not had any. There's been a lot of widespread 1.25 inch, 1.5 rains, but at any one time we really haven't had the big downpours. That definitely would be a blow to us. But for those that haven't got their crops in yet, or portions or whatnot, it's pretty frustrating for them, because it just doesn't look like there's going to be any extended periods. Because it's going to take, just because we get a nice day here or there, it's going to take a few days to dry out and get it suitable for field work and not. So you're going to have to string together, probably 6-7 days of nice weather to get a true, some true work done in a lot of these fields. it's wet.
Yeah, it is. Well, we talked a little bit before we went on the air, as we always do, of course. And I was talking with a guy up by Primgar yesterday, Kelly. Actually, he was a high school classmate of Tim Kleinbrink's. Kelly, I have a tough time pronouncing those names, but Kelly was, he was struggling a little bit up there. He thought we actually had more moisture in this area than they have up there, but
it's all in pockets.
Right.
It's in pockets. Talking to a lot of my farmers in my area, there's a lot of them that are done with corn or very close, like maybe one day to go, or it's very, very close. Some of them they've gotten a start on soybeans, but definitely I don't think probably 30-40% maybe is in the ground locally, which is a little different. Every Monday in the afternoon they come out with our planting progress report. And that was kind of a very anticipated report this time. A lot of times that doesn't get a lot of looks at it. It's just kind of like, oh well, that's what's going on. But the big thing this year is now we are, since records have been kept, we are at the slowest pace ever recorded. And
really?
That goes back quite a ways, and we were just under 49% planted in corn as a country. And normally we would be about 80% right now. So we're substantially behind. Iowa.
Well, I can tell you from a weather standpoint, we're 20 degrees colder than we usually are this time of year. 20 degrees.
But we've also had a 90 degree day thrown in there too. So it's been up and down. But Iowa, we're about 19 points behind where we normally are. We're sitting probably as good of any of this, the corn growing states at about 70% done with corn. And the storylines continues to be out in Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Illinois did make some progress. They're up to 24%. Indiana's only at 14%, and Ohio's still struggling out in single digits in 9%. So, and they're big corn, they're big corn producing states.
They are.
But these weather patterns just seem to keep barreling through, and there's one going through Missouri right now, and it looks like it's gonna.
That was a nasty one.
Possibly track out into that Ohio Valley, and the thing we're approaching here in Iowa. The magic date for corn is the end of the month, and out in the Ohio region,
you can still go to the first week of June, can't you?
You can, but what happens when we get to the there's dates, and these are basically benchmarks in the program. And two things will happen. One, after you go past the last day of this month, you will lose 1% a day of your insurance guarantee that you signed up for back in March.
Okay.
So, or you do have the option, and it's not a guarantee here in this part of the state. That's where people they'll be having discussions with their crop insurance people to take what's called prevent plant. And that's prevent plant. That is an option in the insurance package that we provide, that we purchase. So, and that gets a little complicated. I do know just before I came out here, I stopped out at Iowa State Extension, and they're going to have a webinar this Friday. I believe it's 9 to 11 a.m. And you go to, I believe, the Iowa State Extension site, and you can watch these webinars. So it's going to be, I know out in Illinois and that region there, they've been having a lot of meetings. Their date is June 5th. So it's a little behind ours. But that becomes an option. But I tell you, there's a lot of decisions to be made right now.
Right. Are these webinars available at the Iowa State Extension office here in town?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you can just at your home computer, you can
call them up.
Yeah, you can just go to their site, and it'll give you the instructions to log on. And
it's a great world.
And
a great world.
You can watch those. So there'll be a lot of information on prevent plant, in the procedures and things like that. And then I would emphasize too, reach out to your crop insurance people if that's something that is in the back of your mind too. But as these options become available, and then you could also change crops. You could change to a bean crop. It could depend too. Maybe you got your herbicide on already for a corn crop, so your options could be limited. There's just a lot things going around. And then something else that kind of got thrown out here just this afternoon. It's kind of we talked about, all the leaks in Washington, D.C., but they're supposedly on Thursday going to officially announce the kind of the market facilitation program version 2.
Hallelujah. Huh?
Which the version 1 was what we dealt with last year, and that was kind of a Band-Aid for some of the impact that the tariffs did to the agricultural arena.
Right.
They're throwing some numbers out, but they haven't really talked about the mechanics, and some of that's going to could play a role in if a guy does prevent plant, or if he goes ahead and pushes to a soybean, or so a lot of those decisions, we don't have all the pieces of the puzzle, and we're rapidly approaching these dates. But if it keeps raining like it does, and I think it pretty much looks like it's going to be pretty hard to turn a wheel in the next 7 to 10 days, at least in this area.
Oh yeah.
Some of those decisions possibly could get made for you too. So
sometimes that is what happens.
But there's a lot going on. Every operation's different, and those are you just got to put pencil to paper and start seeing what works and what your options are, I guess.
Sure.
But the cash market and corn, we've had a good bounce here. I've been hauling corn to my local ethanol plant, and there's been some pretty impressive lines. The recent rally in the grains kind of seemed to knock the doors open on a lot of bins. So a lot of farmers, it almost looked like fall with the lines we were getting. But these have been some of the best prices we've had in 12 months. So it triggered a lot of sales. So it's
I bet.
And it doesn't hurt when no one's out in the field doing anything anyway. So they're looking for something to do.
Right.
And but it's been kind of a challenging spring, to say the least, for a lot of people.
Yeah, it has been. I mean, it's really been a challenging spring for just about anybody who's in business, and really all of us. I mean, it's just, especially a day like today.
There's still, I'm still hearing from people conditions of gravel roads and stuff like that. They had so much damage done to them in the spring. They're not right yet. And it's like they say, there's no bottom to them. They get them graded and, looking good, but the road just basically deteriorates and falls apart.
Yeah.
So I do know in other counties and whatnot, there's still a lot of that going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty trying time. But like I said, we need some cooperation with the weather. So
yes, we do.
I don't know how we're going to get that right now. But
a lot of times the police chief is on before you, but
Yep.
he had to step away for business, or he had a meeting or something. But I was going to ask him if, due to the weather, he'd had an increased calls for people bickering and fighting.
I looked at the back page of the paper today, and it looks like they've been busy.
Well, the weather's driving everybody nuts, I think.
So but there's just like I said, there's a lot of decisions to be made. I can't emphasize enough, talk to your insurance agents, and like every operation's different, and you have to start trying to put some different scenarios and whatnot when we make these decisions. But it's just a pretty frustrating deal for a lot of farmers right now.
So what questions should you be asking your insurance guy?
Well, most farmers, I think they have a pretty good relationship with their agents, and one is prevent plan even an option? There's some hoops and hurdles and regulatory. It's I think back around 2010, 2012, somewhere in that range, it was kind of widespread in this area. That was a pretty trying time, and I don't think they had a lot of regulations on the prevent plan. It was something kind of new, and I think they learned and from maybe some of the mistakes, some of the administration of that part of the policy, and they've tightened up the restrictions and what will qualify. I know you have to have a lot of documentation, photographs and evidence, basically, to prove that you couldn't plant. It does kind of look bad if all your neighbors are planted and you're not. Which
they might not go for that.
Yeah, it's a possibility. It might not be an option. So again, that's a conversation you have to have on an individual basis with your insurance agent. It's going to be really interesting to see in the markets what happens out in Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. That's definitely widespread out there. That nothing's done virtually, and how many acres that takes off. And those are kind of numbers we're throwing around. Coffee shop talk. What because they always come out with how many acres we're going to have, what the estimates and all these computations and how much ending stock we're going to have and the price projections and all that. Well, you start kind of monkeying with the acres planted, and then also what crop is it going to be? And now we throw into it our possible payments, which are possibilities. We haven't seen it officially yet, but it's probably pretty current though, because it doesn't seem like a lot of these leaks in Washington are inaccurate. It's just that, portions of them get leaked out. So we have to see the mechanics of how that's going to work. And that still could be a lot of speculation too. So it's pretty hard to, when do you pull the trigger and sell crop? And, I still chuckle. It's, last year, a week ago, the governor signed in that sports betting deal. Well, farmers, we bet all the time.
Sure.
So it's a huge gamble, and it's this year has been very challenging. So has this year been as challenging as last year? Last year wasn't all that good. Last year we had a delay, but once we got going, it went real good. And then we had a very strange fall.
Yeah, it was really weird.
It got wet. We had an early winter. It froze. And some of that set us up for this year, but this year too. Winter we got real nice there. Kind of, I think
we did. Well, I'll tell you, middle of January to about the 1st of March, it was brutal. But before that, it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad, and then it just kind of stayed. It never really got really good, and it just kind of drug on and on and on, and that leads us to today. So, it's I've talked to a lot of farmers too that they wish they would have pushed it a little harder but there was always going to be a better day. The farmers are the eternal optimist, and I think hindsight they maybe would have pushed it a little harder, but you can't go back, so it's you're dealt with what you have. There's a lot of farmers though, their field conditions never were right, so there never has been a choice for them to get in the fields. So different fields, and they can lie right next to each other, can act totally different. There's a lot of different soil types out there, and they all there's a lot of different types of drainage, and there's no two field alike. So it's definitely a challenge. The not very encouraging forecast, though, I will say right now.
Do you talk to an agronomist a lot or not?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because
do you have different kinds of soil on your farm? It's not unusual to have different types of soil.
I probably have 4 or 5, I suppose. The most being Nicolette and Webster and Clarion, which are the soil types. I guess I don't know how many soil types there are, but those are the predominant ones in my farm. We look at soil maps once in a while,
right?
It's probably something I don't look at enough, but it also doesn't really change either. But to identify different zones and different management styles, sometimes, especially if we have a particular disease, we might reference soil type to, I guess I don't want to say benefit, but, identify areas where that disease might be more prevalent. So they're definitely looked at, and then they're given points, and then the ground is given us what's called a corn suitability rating, a CSR. And
this is work the agronomist does?
Well, the agronomist, they'll know that, but that rating, and a lot of times that rating is used when you sell a farm, and the higher the CSR number, usually it will be the better the ground. And there's some low CSR, and CSR that even comes back into play, like with county zoning. and how ground is zoned. It has to be below a certain CSR, and so there's a soil types definitely come into play. I probably got a book. My dad bought the book, I think, and it's about a foot thick. It's got every farm in Webster County and their CSR. Now you can just get it online. So
can you really?
Yeah, it's all available.
Where do you get it online?
I believe it's through the extension
Is it?
or the national. It's a government site, and it has CSR maps and soil type maps, and you can look up individual soil characteristics and there's a lot of information out there.
Oh, there is. As I say, it's a wonderful world.
Yeah, it's
Terrific
all at your fingertips. But so yeah, we'll look at that. But agronomists, they play a big role in what we do, and it's kind of an unknown right now. We've got a lot of crops that are sitting slowly growing. I don't want to say they're dormant. That can lead possibly to maybe some diseases later on because it's kind of a lot of exposure, and they kind of get kind of vulnerable right now with without the rapid growing. You think we're going to be pushing June's going to be coming up before we know it. 4th of July is going to be here before we know it. And
that's the way it happens.
Sometimes you look at the corn and how big it is at 4th of July. The last couple of years, we've been tasseling in that time frame. So, even on my farm, I planted in that April 20th range. It doesn't really look a lot different than guys that planted 2 weeks later because we just haven't had any growing degree days. So the timing of planting, it kind of got nullified, I think, by the characteristics of our weather right now.
While you were talking, I just Googled a map or CSR maps for Iowa. Bang.
Yeah.
And Iowa State University Extension popped right up with instructions on how to compute the CSR on your farm.
Yep.
Just put in your
soil types
and township and that sort of thing, and they'll look it up, and there it is.
Yeah, it plays, like I said, it plays a big value or it is a part of valuation in farm ground. Farmers look at that, and we would look at that too, especially if you get into what we call precision farming, and that's
farming.
That's where we will variable apply nutrients, and we take soil types into consideration in some of those, because some of those grounds are higher producing than others. So you're trying to cater to the yield potential on that farm. So the high yielding areas, we'll try to put more nutrients there, and then we blend that in with soil testing maps. So it's kind of a complex group of information that we pool together to make some of these decisions. But we're in this area, we're still in what's called a glacial lobe.
Yeah.
And it's you start getting south of like Sheridan and Peyton in that area, and that lobe starts falling off, and then it's not glacial. So they get a little more hills there. The glaciers way back when they plowed this pretty flat, smooth up in this part of the country, and then we tend to have a little probably deeper black dirt too. Our topsoil's a little thicker.
Sure.
So just a different, but that leads to our high production in this area. So but it's I guess going forward, like I said, if prevent plant is in the back of your mind, definitely talk to your insurance agent. Go check out the webinar on Friday at Iowa State Extension, or call Iowa State Extension if you've got a question about it. Hopefully some of these decisions we're gonna muddle through literally.
Yeah.
So it's not good for anybody. And the markets, they're just kind of the corn market's going up, the bean market, it goes up and down so much it about snaps your neck trying to watch it. And a lot of different fundamentals, and then that a whole nother subject that gets off into, our trade wars and this and that, and China and the lack of talking to China. And it finally looks like we're going to be putting a little progress on the Mexico deal coming up.
That Mexico deal is the very least I'd like to see that done.
Yeah, and
Is that done then or not?
well, the way I understand it, they're taking the tariffs off the steel and the aluminum with Mexico and Canada,
Right.
and that's going to pretty much, I guess, open the pathway up to get this done. From what I understand, the Democratic caucus wants to make some changes. And
We'll have to talk more about that in the next half hour. This is KVFD Fort Dodge, 3 o'clock.
If you're into cars or just want to learn a thing or two, tune in every Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 for the Under the Hood Car Show on AM 1400 KVFD Fort Dodge.
A wave of protests over new abortion laws. On Lisa Brady, Fox News. Recent restrictions in multiple states have already prompted legal challenges, but today is a national day of action for opponents. Fox's Gernal Scott has this live.
Lisa, outside the U.S. Supreme Court has been the focal point of the Stop the Bans rallies, but other cities are raising voices as well. In West Hollywood, California, Norbice Flint spoke out, saying the laws, in her opinion,
target abortion and providers and criminalize women, pregnant women. It doesn't stop there.
And outside Minnesota's capital, women also spoke in one voice.
And we're saying no.
Alabama has an outright abortion ban. Georgia, Missouri, and Ohio are among states with fetal heartbeat restrictions. The ACLU is planning pro-choice rallies in every state, Lisa.
Thanks, Gernal. McDonald's also facing a new round of protests, along with lawsuits accusing the company of condoning sexual harassment and retaliating against employees who speak up. McDonald's points to recent improvements aimed at preventing harassment, including a new hotline for complaints. Tornado and flood recovery in parts of the central U.S.
Northern Oklahoma stretching up into Kansas, spots where you saw anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of precipitation. That has led to a lot of flooding, and there's still more heavy rain on the way as this very slow mover continues off. We've got flood advisories stretching from Oklahoma all the way up into Illinois as this slow moving system is just going to drop a lot of rain on areas that have been saturated from a very soggy spring already.
Fox meteorologist Adam Klotz, high water rescues in Oklahoma and at least one injury. Wall Street snaps a 2-day losing streak. The Dow up 198 points at the closing bell, led in part by a rebound in the tech sector after the temporary easing of restrictions on technology sales to Chinese companies. This is Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring is prime home buying season, so if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock a low rate, which can save you money every month on your new mortgage. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling a special meeting of House Democrats tomorrow morning, partly to talk about paths forward as she faces increasing pressure from some in her caucus for impeachment, especially after another no-show at a House hearing on the Mueller report.
President Trump directed former White House counsel Don McGahn to skip today's hearing, even though he was under subpoena, raising the ire of House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler.
The president took it upon himself to intimidate a witness who has a legal obligation to be here today.
Ranking member Republican Doug Collins said Nadler should have invited McGahn to come voluntarily.
He launched a subpoena at the witness without any consultation or follow-up with the witness's lawyer.
The White House argues McGahn is immune from testifying. Nadler is threatening to hold McGahn in contempt and take the issue to court. In Washington, Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
A woman who got hot wax dropped in her eye accidentally at a Connecticut beauty salon settles a lawsuit against the business, which has since closed. for $400,000. An attorney for the 61-year-old woman says his client suffered permanent eye injuries from the botched eyebrow wax and incurred nearly $5,000 in medical expenses. Progress for prosecutors in a case of hundreds of stolen guns.
In 2017, federal prosecutors say a group of men from Texas infiltrated a UPS facility in Springfield, Massachusetts. They managed to make off with 600 Beretta handguns and 54 shotguns intended for delivery at a Bass Pro Shop. 4 of the 6 men charged in the case receiving their prison sentences this week, but investigators are having a hard time tracking down all the stolen firearms. So far, only 73 of the 654 have been recovered. Tom Graham, Fox News.
Recapping the Wall Street rally, the Dow up 197, the NASDAQ up over 1%. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. The USDA reports farmers made planting progress in some areas last week despite continued weather issues. Radio Hour's Dar Danielson reports.
The report says 70% of the expected corn crop is now in the ground, which is still 5 days behind last year and 9 days behind the 5-year average. It's the smallest percentage of corn planted by May 19th since 1995, when just 53% of the crop was done. Farmers in the northern districts and east central Iowa managed to dodge the rain to plant 1/4 of their expected corn this past week. That includes 43% of the crop planted in northeast Iowa. The planting of soybeans is 8 days behind last year and 9 behind the 5-year average, with 27% of them in the ground. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
A northern Iowa community is being designated as an age-friendly town, only the second one in the state. Radio Iowa's Kellen Havikin reports.
AARP has designated Charles City as the next livable community in Iowa. The city's been piloting the program since October and submitted an application last month. A livable community must be a safe and secure place to live, have affordable housing, and transportation for senior citizens. A ceremony's been planned for June to recognize the city. Charles City is home to more than 600 senior citizens. I'm Kellen Havikin reporting.
A government office building in Mason City is closed after part of its roof collapsed in a weekend storm. Radio Iowa's Bob Fisher reports.
A statement from J.D. Dieterman Investments says structural damage on the roof of the Mohawk Square building was discovered on Sunday. The statement says they're working with their insurance company to assess the damage, but until a full assessment of the damage is completed, Mohawk Square will be closed until further notice. Several public agencies are housed inside Mohawk Square, including the Cerro Gordo County Department of Public Health, the Iowa Department of Human Services, the Mason City Housing Authority, Elder Bridge Agency on Aging, and the Iowa Department of Correctional Services. Bob Fisher, Radio Iowa, Mason City.
The Messenger reports that Marco's Pizza, 1511 2nd Avenue North in Fort Dodge, is all of a sudden closed. I talked to Fort Dodge residents about what they thought about the closing. Joe O'Leary of Fort Dodge isn't surprised.
I don't know. It's weird. It's not really shocking to me.
Aaron Miller of Fort Dodge says the competition between pizza franchises in town and changes in management had an effect on the closing of Marco's.
Pizza, because it's such a dime a dozen, and when you do a franchise, that's pretty hard in Fort Dodge when you already have Pizza Hut, Domino's, and Little Caesars, and Papa Murphy's for franchises. And so I don't think that really was the best idea for that. Secondly, I think even more so than that was the fact that after about their second year, they went through a lot of changes in managerial and employees and when you have that much change, you're not setting your company up for success. I think that ultimately led to their demise.
Marco's Pizza was in Fort Dodge for 7 years before closing this week. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. A wind advisory continues until 10 p.m. tonight. Overcast skies this afternoon with a chance for scattered rain showers. Highs around 51, easterly winds 30 to 40 miles per hour. Cloudy skies tonight, isolated thunderstorms likely 49, 69 tomorrow, chance for scattered showers. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 48.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Oh, why not just cremate me when I'm gone?
Sounds simple, doesn't it? However, there are many options to consider when cremation is chosen. From simple to detailed, we at Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services can help you create a unique commemoration.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Blue Ribbon, Pelham Waters, your water pro since 1949.
Do you have questions about your water? What is a whole home filter? Is my softener working or not? Can I get rid of that red stain around the sink? I'm Brian with Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters. We're here to fix problem water. We'll work with you to find the right solution for you. We've been serving the Fort Dodge area since 1949. Let us serve your water treatment needs. Sales, service, rentals. Blue Ribbon Pelham Waters, your complete water store.
The General Store has flowers. That's right. The greenhouse is now open at the General Store. Stop in today and check out their beautiful annuals, perennials, and planters, including Memorial Day planters. All the plants in the greenhouse are grown by Green Productions, part of the One Vision family. And remember, when you buy from the General Store, all proceeds go back into our community to help people with special needs. Come check out the incredible greenhouse today at the General Store, 12 North 25th, Fort Dodge.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. Yeah, we're going to tell the truth, make it matter. We're never going to be boring. And this portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Farm Bureau. And with us again is Steve Peterson from beautiful downtown Slifer. How are you, Steve?
Well, at least I'm warm and dry in here.
That's right. That's the only thing we can say. Boy, I came out of the house this morning and it just hasn't strayed. I suppose that's what we do in Iowa, complain about the weather all the time. But man, I was surprised. The wind.
We're going to complain when it's too hot.
That's right. It's just give me a chance and I'll complain because it's 90 or 80 or whatever.
We unfortunately don't have. Seems like spring and fall is. I don't know when that is anymore.
Well, I'll tell you, I was real comfortable in the southwest part of the country because of low humidity and I have allergies. But I'll tell you something about Arizona. It's probably too far from home for me. Plain and simple. I mean,
sure.
If I could, I'm still thinking about going down there maybe next winter for a month or something. But I would move.
A lot of people do.
A lot of people do. A lot of people go down to Texas and all those places.
Yeah.
When are you going to go there, Steve? Do you go someplace in the winter? You don't, do you?
No.
You were in here with me the whole time.
Afraid not. Other than when I went to China for 10 days.
That must have been that was a heck of a trip, though. I know you like that.
Yeah, that was a good trip. That was my first time out of the country, and I went halfway around the world. So
to a very kind of exotic place too. Really, you can't pick a spot on Earth where the people and the culture are more different than ours. I mean, really, you can't.
It was very interesting. You know, it was a great opportunity that the Farm Bureau gave me to go on a trip like that. And to this day, I'm still talking and comparing things, what I seen and
that's right.
And you can read about it, but boy, when you go and see a place and actually get to talk to the people and the culture, you can't replace it. It's just pretty amazing to see that.
I've never been, boy. I'd love to go there. It's again, I don't know if you got this or not, but I spent a couple of years in Asia, not that part of Asia, but I was struck by how similar people are and how different.
Exactly. And that's what, one of the things I've always really noticed is there's some things that they are so far ahead of us in technology and just the way their society, but then there's other ways they are so far behind us. It's not even funny. And at the end of the day, I don't know what's better sometimes. So, I mean, that was probably some of the most interesting of but to see of people too, that, news over there is so censored. And so they only know what they're told and they don't question it.
They don't. That's one thing we do not do that in this country. But one thing I've heard from Americans that a Chinese person will say, well, we heard that Americans grow fangs or turn into wolves at night. And is that, they don't ask if that happens. They say that happens.
Yeah.
That's an exaggeration, of course. But the American will or the European will say, well, how do you know that? And they look at them in amazement and say, well, the government told us.
Yeah.
The government told us. Now, if the government tells us, it's the truth. Think how different that is in this country. We don't believe anything the government says.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, anything anymore. But the people we were fortunate.
Isn't that a by God sad state of affairs that we can't believe anything?
Yeah, it's tough. And, and I know in our group, we were pretty. We had a group that went up 5 or 6 years ago, and they were pretty restricted where they went. They said there was a black car in front of them and behind them, and they were pretty much guided where they were going to go. And I didn't see that. We made some random stops in some markets and stuff like that. And that was some of the most interesting, non-scripted, just interaction with the, basically a local community. And that community is probably 250,000 people. But, and actually when we, you get 25 farmers get off a bus and go into an open air wet market, we were treated like rock stars. They wanted to take pictures with us. They were coming up to us to take pictures. We stuck out like a sore thumb. I mean, we were towered over them for height and everything else, but they wanted to come up and take pictures with us. And we were never felt threatened or anything like that. They did warn us, if you're billfold, make sure it's in your front pocket and stuff like that, because you get in very tight quarters.
I suppose
a pickpocket could easily, if you're not, especially we're just gawking at everything else. So
of course,
so they would tell us, make sure your personal belongings are a lot of times in your front pocket or stuff like that, because evidently there is, that could definitely take advantage of someone like us. But it was a neat experience, and like I said, I still reference a lot of things I seen there, and what we're doing here in Iowa and the United States and cultures. But the people, they were very, very friendly, and they really had high. Everything from America was good, as far as they were concerned.
I hope so.
They the consumer over there has great respect for our goods, and that's where the trade deal we need to get hopefully this little cooling off period or whatever we're going to call it right now, they can come to. We just need to get it done.
I actually have a contact from the Chinese media that I haven't accessed for a long time.
Yep.
Young woman in this country, and she has been following American agriculture because she's employed somehow in media through the agricultural area in China. But I need to ask her this question because you just said something that hit me and made me think of this, that the Chinese have a lot of respect for our goods. What they're talking about is food.
Yes.
And I wonder if the Chinese, and I know they have a real fear of starvation in China because they actually have known starvation.
Sure they have.
And I wonder if that's part of that culturally that would make them admire the Americans.
They were very, very brand and country oriented. We've seen a lot of beef, of course, from New Zealand and Australia and stuff like that. So commodities and products that were marketed, and they like a story. It's something that I don't think the American consumer, to a point, but they really put value in a safe, secure, in a story, and the security of the food that comes from the United States, they definitely respected and valued that.
But think about that just for a minute. People actually fear starvation. That's something unknown to us.
Yeah.
We've always had food. I mean, piles and piles of food. I mean,
a lot of places we went though, there's so much fresh food consumed there because there's not a lot of refrigeration, and there's so it's
by fresh food. What do you mean? Vegetables or
vegetables, meat? Not a lot of frozen meat. A lot of it's not frozen. Definitely, that's some of the challenges too. They do a lot of for lack of a better term, there's some pretty primal cuts that are just available on a basically as a street vendor. But those people, they build relationships with those vendors, and it's like part of their family, and I think they shop daily. They're not shopping like we do here in Central Iowa. I mean, I shop for a couple of weeks when I go. They're going daily, on their way home from work. They stop in and they might get their meal for that night, and but with no refrigeration, and there was not a lot of processed food, I guess. They were eating pretty real stuff, and sometimes it was alive. I mean, there was some stuff that was still alive.
I can't get over those dog markets though. God.
But so it, like I said, it was a very interesting experience, and it's something I'll never forget. But going forward, and it kind of opens you up to think about how we can do things and where the connection can be between America and any of these foreign countries. And but I still go back to my belief. I think we need to get a deal done with China. Doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. We kind of had our hopes up a few weeks ago that we were in the final stretch. That did not.
Nobody really knows what's going on. Of
No.
course, they're keeping a tight lid on things.
Now, like we ended that last segment, let's get this Mexico-Canada thing done. It looks like it's with the tariffs getting lifted now. We've got some latitude to get that done. I do know there's some discussion or dissent on the Democrat side of wanting to renegotiate or a few points of it.
The USMCA deal?
Yeah, the USMCA deal.
They're trying to take care of labor. That's fine.
They are.
We should be able to hammer that out. We should be able to work that out.
Yeah, and I don't know that we need to hold up this whole deal. We can, as long as we can work on those points and
Well, it was the Clinton administration that sent all the auto jobs down to Mexico in the first place. Now the Democrats want to come in and act. Yeah.
I just would like to get one of those deals done. And another encouraging thing, it looked like Japan. Now they had an age limit on the beef going into their country, and now they've opened that up. So that's a great thing for our beef producers in America. There's no age restriction on the beef.
Now you're talking about China or Japan?
That was Japan.
Japan, right?
That was Japan. So we did.
Boy, they had a long boycott on our meat, didn't they?
They
Like
did.
15 years.
They did. And then when it did come in, if I understood it right, there was definitely an age restriction on the animals.
Right.
And now I think we've got that lifted. And our ag secretary, he was over there flipping steaks and a lot of photo ops there.
Sure.
So,
Well, yeah, that's part of the game,
part of the image. And our Iowa Farm Bureau president Craig Hill, he's out in Washington right now. He's
very bright guy. Very bright guy.
He's also part of the American Farm Bureau board, and I believe he has a seat on this. It's called the Agricultural Technical Advisory Committee. And the pictures I seen of him, looking to me like he was in the White House, and it looked like they were sat down with a group of the trade delegates, and they are talking about trade in grains, oilseed, feed, various agricultural commodities, and so it'll be interesting to see what he has when he gets back here to Iowa. But he's got a front row seat to a lot of this, which being an Iowa farmer, it gives me a little comfort. And Craig is exceptionally well versed in a lot of different areas.
He really is. Yeah, he's a sharp guy. I've met him a few times, and yeah, very, very sharp. Where does he farm at?
He is he's southwest of Des Moines a little ways. I can't think of the name of the closest town he's at, but he's not too far southwest of Des Moines.
And when you said that, now I thought it was going to pop into my head. Now I can't remember.
So he's out there, and it'll be interesting to see what we get, information back there or what movements we can. And then, locally, this is kind of a fun time of year for our county farm bureau. We have been doing our scholarship awards,
right?
And we do three scholarships here in Webster County, and we had Cassidy Lambert from Lehigh, and Amber Westling from Badger, and Corey Brennan from Fort Dodge. They were awarded the County Farm Bureau scholarships, and then Cassidy Lambert also won a Iowa Farm Bureau scholarship, and they give away I think it's 54 or 57 of those. So those were awarded here in the awards night here over the last few weeks, and with graduations going on and these young people taking on the next step, it's kind of nice to see that. And then we're going to get kind of busy. I know in June we're going to have what's called a Teachers Academy, and I think we're going to get kind of full on it. And it's a partnership that Iowa Farm Bureau or Webster County Farm Bureau has gotten into, and it's basically some agricultural programs that we're going to offer to some teachers to come in, and they'll get continuing ed credit for these classes. It'll be a 2-day event, and like I said, I think we've got maybe a few openings left, but I think we're filling up pretty good on that. So that's going to a lot of different topics, and we have different speakers. So that's something new that we've that I know the Webster County Farm Bureau has not done, but we're going to have that out at our office. That's on June 26th and 27th.
Remind me of that.
And then, of course, we got our county fair.
Sure.
Which that's I know the Farm Bureau Day is that Saturday, July 13th, and we do our we do a lot of different and involved in a lot of different aspects out there with the county fair, and kind of the big ones. We do the kitty tractor pull, and
we
do the watermelon during right before that. We do a free watermelon and give that away, and then of course we do the dinner that afternoon or early evening, I guess, the sweet corn feed.
Yeah.
And this year the money is going towards area food banks. So
good.
It's a free will donation, and 100% of everything goes into the food banks. So it's been a really good and rewarding program that we've done, and it's a it's just luckily we've had good weather the last couple of years. Hopefully Mother Nature will cooperate with us going forward.
I hope so too. We're going to have the figure eights. I know Farm Bureau doesn't have anything to do with the races, but I'm sure they'll have the figure eight races out there this year.
They're doing some, I know last year they kind of took some new, I don't know if I want to say it, a little bit direction. They had some new blood involved and some new ideas, and had more of a midway theme out at the
I
fair.
appreciated seeing that. I always kind of missed the midway out at the Webster County Fair.
That definitely was identifiable as, kind of getting back to a midway theme. And it was a good turnout last year. I was pleasantly surprised with it. And I kind of gauge off our dinners and whatnot, but so that's going to be the 13th. And then our Webster County Farm Bureau annual meeting will be the end of July on July 30th. And that'll be at the Opera House out at the fort. So,
what date is that?
July 30th.
Okay.
So we had been doing it at Kennedy Park, and then last year we had our 100th anniversary last year, and we went to a little bigger venue at the Opera House, and we got such good feedback from everyone that we decided to do it again out there.
Sure.
So it was a little more conducive. The shelter house out at Kennedy, it's a beautiful thing, but it's just a tick too small for us. And, people really enjoy sitting and talking and having a little more room to spread out. So I think it was a better venue, and it was received well by our members. So,
well, summer in Iowa was a great time.
Yeah.
Summer in Iowa was a great time. If we can just get it here.
Yeah. If we can get it here, but yeah, so it's going to be busy for us, especially July. We get doing a lot of different things, and we've had a little break on board meetings here, and we'll be getting back to that, I think, here in June. So, and then we'll probably start digging right into policy making and coming up with our members' ideas and trying to start vetting those and putting different policies together, because we'll already start the wheels in motion for the next legislative session. And it's kind of hard to even think about that because they just got done with this one.
Got done, but you got to get it. I remember I was up at the Clay County Fair one time, and I asked the guy, the president of the Clay County Fair Board, when he was going to start planning for the next one. He said the day after this one ends.
Yes. Yes. So a lot of that stuff.
And that's the truth. That's exactly what happened.
Yes. I mean, we're not even done. We weren't done with this legislative session. We pretty much had wheels in motion with policies and ideas and direction from our membership of what's important to them going forward. So we'll start crafting that, and then there'll be some meetings down in Des Moines, and we'll start as a delegate, we'll start negotiating and see what our policy for next year is.
Every now and then online somehow or on social media, I'll run across some environmental group, and they're always mad at Farm Bureau. They're never mad at the corn growers. They're never mad at the soybean association. They're not even mad at the pork producers.
Yeah.
But they're mad at the Farm Bureau. Why are they always mad at the Farm Bureau?
I guess we don't feed them enough like that.
You don't get the pork burgers out like Hora and his group.
No, pork producers, you can never go away mad there.
Boy, isn't that the truth? Greg used to grill those. I think he slowed down a little bit with those pork burgers. But there for a while, he'd set the pork his grill here in the parking lot of the radio station and make pork burgers for us.
Yeah.
You know, and he was always somewhere with that grill.
Yeah, but no, we unfortunately have the bullseye on us a lot of times from a lot of different organizations or entities or but our policy is set by the members. You know, it's not something that's running rogue out there. And
well, to be honest too, the problem they have with the Farm Bureau is that the Farm Bureau is in the 21st century and they want to go back to the 19th century. They don't like row crop farming. They don't like hog confinement buildings. I don't know what they do like. But they don't like any of those things. They don't like glyphosate. They don't like Monsanto. They don't like this, that, or anything.
Yeah. So so a lot of our success too stems on good policy. You know, it's easy to have good success when you have good policy.
Right.
And fortunately, since our policy is developed by grassroots, and it's not, like I said, it's not something that one person's dreaming up. You know, President Hill is not just steering the ship any which way he wants. He's directed by our membership and our policy that we'll develop. And it's not something that's taken lightly either. It's a long process that develops that policy, and that's why I think a lot of times it's very good policy.
Yeah.
And we try to build relationships too with the elected officials and where we can be consistent and truthful and factual on different things.
Who's president of the Webster County Farm Bureau now?
Jeremy Swanson.
Jeremy. I don't know him, I guess.
Yep. He's works at New Co-op.
Oh, does he?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose he farms a little bit, doesn't he?
Or
does he?
I don't know if he does farm anymore.
Okay. All right. This part of the program has been brought to you by the Webster County Farm Bureau. Our guest, as always, has been Steve Peterson. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Mike.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
Yeah, it's 3:32.
Hiring? Aren't you tired of hoping the right candidates see your job posts? It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology finds and invites qualified candidates to apply. So instead of hoping you find that needle, ZipRecruiter finds it for you. And hiring is a whole lot easier.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter now for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Alpha Media presents the ultimate Fort Dodge experience. We'll fly 2 of your favorite guests round trip via Air Choice One to Fort Dodge. They'll fly in from St. Louis, Minneapolis, or Chicago on Friday, June 7th. Upon arrival, they'll settle into the Holiday Inn Express for 4 days and 3 nights of Fort Dodge fun and excitement. Your guests will receive 4 tickets to Celebration featuring Sammy Hagar Saturday night, June 8th. They'll also enjoy some of the best burgers in Iowa with a $50 gift card to Rides Bar and Grill. And nobody can visit Fort Dodge without chowing down at Taco Tico. Sunday, they'll enjoy brunch and golfing for 4 at Willow Ridge. And that's not all. Victory Motors is giving them a $50 Visa gift card for even more fun. Enter the names of your friends or family on the ultimate Fort Dodge contest page at yourfortdodge.com. Deadline for entry is May 23rd. On Friday, May 24th, we'll draw 1 lucky winner. It's the ultimate Fort Dodge experience from this Alpha Media station.
Here's Howie Long for Skechers Wide Fit Footwear.
I'm 6'5", and I can tell you there are certain challenges in life that only big guys understand. Regular clothes don't fit. Heck, regular cars don't fit. But when it comes to shoes, Skechers gets it. That's why I wear Skechers Wide Fit. They've got extra room throughout, giving you room to breathe. And they've got Skechers exclusive air-cooled memory foam for comfort that lasts all day long.
Find Skechers Wide Fit at a Skechers store near you or wherever stylish shoes are sold. Skechers, comfort included.
We stand for people, progress and pride. Iowa Farm Bureau's by your side.
We're the Iowa Farm Bureau, and we believe in Iowa's future. We support Iowa's youth, encourage ag innovations, and nurture new business opportunities in rural communities. We're a century strong and growing. To learn more, contact your local county farm bureau.
ensuring your crop has access to nitrogen when it needs it. Hello, I'm Megan Grebner, and this is Managing